This is like a huge Malaysian cockroach. Those fuckers are about that big, and they bite. It's like one of those Malaysian cockroaches have run up Trump's rather. Have you noticed how bloated this fucker's getting? He's blowing up like a goddamn balloon. Keep going, Don. More cheeseburgers, motherfucker. Go ahead. I will send you an order of fries if you swear you'll just squarf them right down. This is like a huge Madagascar, not Malaysia, Madagascar cockroach has crawled into his bloomers and just biting the shit out of him or something. Because now something is driving him crazy. Maybe it's just the fact that the Affordable Care Act is referred to as Obamacare. Oh, fuck, Obama. You're never going to get the Nobel Peace Prize, you fucking orange blimp. Obama didn't deserve it either. You're not going to get one, and Obama did. Oh. So Trump had one of his favorite federal judges in Texas invalidate the entire Affordable Care Act. This is a law that went to the Supreme Court, what, once, twice? It's been, these filthy fucking Republicans have tried 55 times to end it through votes, never able to do it. But some filthy little son of a bitch in Texas, a little federal judge. Ooh, I'll bet he just feels wonderful. Fuck you! I'm killing it! So that's what he ordered. This judge. And the Justice Department has always said, no, not going to do it. But not this Justice Department. Not under this slobby son, another buffoon. This guy who now says he's not going to release the Mueller report. He'll write another memo. We'll see about that, fucker. The Justice Department announced it's changed its position and agrees with the judge that the entire law should be scrapped. A coalition of states is appealing the ruling. If this pissy little judge's ruling is upheld, tens of millions more people would be affected than those who already rely on this 9-year-old law. This goddamn thing has been there for 9 years, but for health insurance. But don't let that fool you. These fucking Republicans have been trying to kill Social Security for 75 years, 80 years. These fucking Republicans have been trying to kill Medicare for 50 years. What is with these animals? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. They're Christians. This is what their Messiah tells them to do. Fuck over the poor, the halt and the lame. Fuck over them. Hurt them. You bastards. Obamacare touches the lives of most Americans, from nursing mothers to people eating at chain restaurants. No, it does. I'll show you in a minute. Here are, thanks to New York Times, here's some potential consequences based on estimates by various groups. Okay, 21 million people could lose their health insurance because of this judge's ruling, if that ruling stands. 21 million people. Fuck them, right? Of the 23 million who either buy health insurance through the marketplace set up by Obamacare, which is 11.4 million, or receive coverage through the expansion of Medicaid, which is another 12 million, about 21 million people are most at risk if Obamacare is struck down. That includes 9.2 million people who receive federal subsidies. On average, it says here, the subsidies covered $525 of a $612 monthly premium for customers in the 39 states that use the federal marketplace. That's according to healthcare.gov. A new report from the Department of Health and Human Services confirms that if the marketplaces and subsidies go away, which is what this filthy subhuman named Donald Trump is trying to do because it has Obama's name on it. It really doesn't, but what the fuck does he know, right? If the marketplace and the subsidies go away, a comprehensive healthcare plan, would become unaffordable for most of those people, and many of them would become uninsured, the 21 million. But let's not stop there. Oh, and the states, the 39 states, could not possibly replace the full federal subsidies with state funds. It just can't be done. Another 12 million. Adults could lose their Medicaid coverage. 12 million more. Now, what do we got here? 23 million. Here's another 12 million. Medicaid, the government insurance program for the poor that is jointly funded by the feds and the states, has been the workhorse of Obamacare. If the health law were struck down, more than 12 million low-income adults who have gained Medicaid coverage through the law's expansion of the program will lose it. How many of those 12 million do you think voted for Trump? In all, according to the Urban Institute, enrollment in the program, Medicaid, would drop by more than 15 million, including roughly 3 million children who got Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP, when their parents signed up for coverage. See what I mean? These are Christians. Please fucking keep that in mind. They are Christians. These are not Jews doing this. These are not Muslims or Hindus. These are Christians. And they will tell you in a fucking heartbeat, well, you know, God first, then my family. You miserable hypocrites. You miserable hypocrites. Christians doing this to children. They miss the part in their Bibles, the part of the Bible they didn't steal from the Jews. They miss the part that says, suffer the little children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Three million children who got Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP, when their parents signed up for coverage on Medicaid, are going to lose the coverage. If this were to go through, this will not happen. It will not. I know this. It's in the courts now, but it's still not going to happen. But this shows you how these filthy sons of bitches think. Everybody associated with Trump and everybody, almost everybody, associated with the Republicans. I'm sorry, that's the fucking truth. The law, the part of Obamacare that talks about the Medicaid coverage, the law ensures that states will never have to pay more than 10% of the costs for their expanded Medicaid population. So it makes sense that few, if any, of the states would be able to pick up the extra 90% if this were to happen. Overall, the federal government's tab was $62 billion last year, according to the CBO, Congressional Budget Office. $62 billion. Do you know how much we spent on death and weaponry and bombing Yemen and killing people all over the world? Ourselves and through our surrogates? What was the defense budget? What is Trump suggesting this year? It's close to $1 trillion. That's 1,000 billion. Medicaid is $62 billion. So losing this health insurance, Medicaid, would, of course, also mean worse or no access to health care, and quite possibly worse health for the millions of people who would be affected. Among other things, studies have found that Medicaid expansion has led to better access to preventive screenings, medications, and mental health services. Don't these fucking filthy Republicans, every time there's another slaughter with guns, they say, well, not guns, it's because the shooters are crazy. We just need to make sure they get the right treatment, you goddamn hypocrites, and yet you're going to cut it to the bone. You want to get rid of all of it. I'm going to need Medicaid here in a second. And then you have Medicaid spending for opioid addiction prescriptions. That has more than doubled. You know, the Sackler family, those filthy pigs who have made billions of dollars by turning people into junkies and then killing them. The biggest group able to access addiction treatment, thanks to the addiction they're now suffering, thanks to the Sackler family, just like the fucking tobacco industry, the biggest group able to access additional treatment under the law, Obamacare, is adults who have gained Medicaid coverage. That's the biggest group. The Kaiser Family Foundation estimated that 40% of people from 18 to 65 with opioid addiction, that's roughly 800,000 people, are on Medicaid. Many or most of whom became eligible for it through the health law, through Obamacare. That's the only way they're getting treatment. Kaiser also found that in 2016, Americans with Medicaid coverage were twice as likely as those with no insurance to receive any treatment at all for addiction. What did Trump say at the State of the Union? That just gobs of bullshit just kept stinking up the congressional chambers. It just kept tumbling out of his mouth. Huge clots of bullshit. What was one of the clots? Oh, well, we're going to work to cure addiction. You pig. Cure addiction. The Times goes on, states with expanded Medicaid are spending much more on medications that treat opioid addiction than they used to. From 2013 through 2017, Medicaid spending on prescriptions for 2 medications that treat opioid addiction more than doubled. It reached $874 million in 2013, up from nearly $538 million or $358 million in 2013. So it more than doubled from $358 million to $874 million in the space of 3 years. The growing insured population, thanks to Obamacare, the insured population in many states has also drawn more treatment providers, including methadone clinics, inpatient programs, primary care doctors who prescribe to other anti-craving medications, buprenorphine and naltrexone. These significant expansions of addiction care could shrink or disappear if Obamacare is struck down. How does that sound? And then there's 133 million Americans, 133 million Americans. That's a third of the population of this country. More than a third. Who are protected from being denied insurance because of pre-existing conditions. 133 million. That's half the population under 65, by the way. 133 million Americans have pre-existing medical conditions that could disqualify them from buying a health insurance policy or cause them to pay significantly higher premiums if the health care law were overturned, according to a government analysis done in 2017. An existing medical condition includes such common ailments as high blood pressure or asthma, any of which could require someone buying insurance on their own to pay more for a policy if they could even get one. So add another 133 million people. So where are we now? Well, 21 million and 12 million. That's 33 million. And 133 million. Now we're up to 166 million people. That is half of the entire population who would be adversely affected in varying degrees, one way or the other, if the Affordable Care Act is struck down. And that's what Trump wants. He wants it gone because it has Obama's name on it. Oh, well, he said, did you see that the other day? He's standing with that fucking turtle from Kentucky, turtle fucking face, McConnell, and Trump is saying, well, you know, we're going to become the Republican Party is going to become the party of health insurance. No, it isn't, you filthy fuckwad, you. No, it isn't. That's the bullshit you put out there. You've been putting it out there now for how long? Remember during the campaign, Trump? Oh, we're going to have wonderful health care, beautiful health care, best health care ever. Where is it, fuckhead? And to you Republicans, you've been promising for 9 fucking years, ever since Obamacare went into effect. Remember? Remember how you laughed and made jokes and people trying to sign up online? Ooh, wasn't that a mess? And you sons of bitches in the Republican Party, where is it? Where's your better health care plan? You will never have one because it's not in your psyche to create one. Under the Affordable Care Act, no one can be denied coverage under any circumstances, and insurance companies cannot retroactively cancel a policy unless they find evidence of fraud. The Kaiser Family Foundation, by the way, those are the good guys, estimated that 52 million people have conditions serious enough that insurers would outright deny them coverage if the Affordable Care Act were not in effect. The need to protect people with existing medical conditions from discrimination by insurers was a central theme in the midterm elections when the Democrats gained 40-plus seats in the House. So you Republicans, you fucking slime, keep talking about how you're going to take it away from people. Cluster around that monster who heads your party and squats in the White House. Be like Mike Pence and stare at him like you want to give him a blowjob. Just keep doing it. The American people are watching. Keep talking about how you're going to destroy health insurance for 150 million people. Keep talking about it. And then there's another 171 million Americans who no longer face caps on how much insurance companies will pay. Now, to the insurance companies, health insurance companies, if you don't like this, then get the fuck out of the business and support single payer. Nah, that would never happen. Too many of you filthy pigs are getting rich on other people's poverty and sickness and illness. God, I hate these people. The 156 million Americans who get health coverage through an employer, as well as the roughly 15 million Americans enrolled in Obamacare, that comes up to 171 million, are protected from caps that insurers and employers use to limit how much they had to pay in coverage each year or over a lifetime. That was before the Affordable Care Act. Before the Affordable Care Act, people with conditions like cancer or hemophilia that were very expensive to treat often faced enormous out-of-pocket costs once their medical bills reached those caps. While not all health care coverage was capped before the Affordable Care Act, most companies had some sort of limit in place. A 2017 Brookings analysis estimated that 109 million people would face lifetime limits on their coverage without the Affordable Care Act if it wasn't in effect, with some companies saying they would cover no more than $1 million in medical bills per employee. Now, the vast majority of people never hit those limits, but some who did were forced into bankruptcy or went without treatment and died. $60 million people. That's the number of Medicare beneficiaries who would face changes to medical care and higher premiums. Here's how that works. About 60 million people are covered under Medicare. I am the federal insurance program that covers people over 65 and people with disabilities. Even though the main aim of the Affordable Care Act was to overhaul the health insurance markets, the law, quote, touches virtually every part of Medicare, according to a senior vice president for the Kaiser Family Foundation. The senior vice president, Tricia Newman, said, if the law is overturned, it would be, her words, very disruptive. Medicare beneficiaries, people who get Medicare, I get it, would have to pay more for preventive care, like a wellness visit or diabetes check, which are now free. They would also have to pay more toward their prescription drugs. About 5 million people faced the so-called Medicare donut hole or coverage gap in 2016, which the Affordable Care Act sought to eliminate. If the law were overturned, that coverage gap would widen again. The law, the Affordable Care Act, also made other changes like cutting the amount the federal government paid hospitals and other providers, as well as private Medicare Advantage plans. Undoing those cuts would increase the program's overall costs by hundreds of millions of dollars. See, you must keep this in mind. The primary goal, there are a couple of them. They're not primary and secondary. They are primary goals. First, destroy Medicare. End it. Fucking destroy it. Those 60 million people that are covered under Medicare, that's a huge market that the insurance companies can't get to. So in a capitalist society, kill Medicare. Then they have to go to the insurance companies or fucking die, one or the other. One of the several primary goals of these Republican bastards is to kill Medicare, turn Social Security into a pool of gambling money to put in the stock market to run up their own stocks. That's a good idea, huh? To force people to either do without health insurance or find some way, sell your house, go live in a cardboard packing crate, go live with your daughter or your married son-in-law. I hate these people. I hate them. But if you forget everything else, I want you to remember these are Christians. These are Christians. Why do I keep harping on that? Because those filthy sons of bitches who claim to be Christians keep pounding the rest of us in the face. Do you know Jesus? You don't. you asshole. You don't have a fucking clue. Oh, let's not forget the 2 million young adults have coverage through their parents' plans. The Affordable Care Act required employers to cover their employees' children under the age of 26. And it's one of the law's most popular provisions. Roughly 2 million young adults are covered under a parent's insurance plan. If the law were struck down, which is what Trump wants, employers would have to decide if they would continue to offer the coverage. It is predicted by people and analysts who understand the insurance business, it's predicted that many companies would most likely just say, fuck it. It just goes on and on. It just goes on and on. This is what Trump and the Republicans want to do to you. You going to vote for him again? Huh? Are you going to make the same mistake again? Are you? He's a lying son of a bitch. Don't do it again. Hey, Truth Seekers, Mike Malloy here on the Progressive Voices Network. We've got a deal for you. You can now subscribe to our new 1-hour audio-video combination Malloycast for only $29 a year. But you have to act fast. This deal ends on tax day, April 15th. Since we're without any business managers now, 100% of your support goes directly to maintaining our nightly campfire. Visit MikeMalloy.com to renew or to subscribe. And thank you for all the ways you keep it lit.